all interesting matters for discussion. Joining us on the line right now is Gord Perks, the councillor for Ward 14, Parkdale High Park. Mr. Perks, good to have you on the Oakley Show. Good afternoon.
Mr. Oakley, how are you doing today?
Johnny's all right. So, Gord, tell me, we were just discussing whether or not, there are other ways of maybe finding sources of revenue in efficiencies, but that never comes up in any of these discussions now. It's sort of an article of faith that we have to tax. And you say what?
Well, John, I got to disagree with you on that. We do every single year about 4 months of grinding through all the budgets. I was on budget committee for 4 years, and we found, and this is when Councillor Carroll was budget chief, we found an average of $150 million in savings each and every one of those years. So it doesn't get the big headlines, but it's a routine part of the work we do here.
Okay, you're saying grinding through. The mayor recently asked every department for a budget cut of 2.6%. Mm-hmm. Is that about right or excessive?
So it depends. Part of the problem is he asked for every department to do the same thing. But it works some places, it doesn't work other places. We think that some of the departments are going to come close to that. We know out of the starting gate the TTC just can't do it without cutting buses. They just don't have enough. If you cut their whole management staff, you're still left over with not enough money to run the system unless we give them an increase.
So it's not a matter of political will or the lack of political will.
Yeah, let me just put it this way. Let's suppose you cut 10% out of the budget every year for 10 years. What are you left with?
Well, I get your point, except there might be a point where we've just bloated things and it's necessary to cut it back to...
Yeah. And it's always a give and a take, right? We need to invest in certain kinds of services. I'm sure a lot of your listeners agree that we don't have enough transit service. So we have to put some in, and then we got to go back and say, okay, are you actually getting performance for that money, or is could it be spent somewhere better? So it's a constant annual process of making sure we get our best value for our money. And as you know, John, we find stuff almost every year where we say, you know what, you're kind of wasting public money there. We could spend it better somewhere else.
Okay, I was just saying, against the backdrop of yesterday's Provincial Auditor General's report, there are occasions or great pause for consideration that there might be some fat in the system. But let's leave it for now, because some of the proposals, look, the DRAT vehicle registration tax that Rob Ford killed as Job 1, that is rearing its head again, $120 to register your vehicle. Does that make sense to you?
So here's the thing. We have two problems here at the City of Toronto. We can't meet our day-to-day bills, and we're short on buying some of those big-ticket items we need, like expanding our transit system or fixing community housing. So we can talk about things like a sales tax or road tolls for those big ticket items, because we can hold off on them for a year or 2 years while we get them sorted out. But we need some money today, because we can't pay our bills today. So we basically have two choices. We can increase the property tax, the mayor said no, or we could bring in the vehicle registration fee again. And the mayor said no to that. So I'm actually quite worried when we see our budget launch next week that we're not going to have a balanced budget, and we're going to have 2 months of really messy fights on our hands.
Whatever happened to that proposal the mayor, when he was running for office and paying for Smart Track, the 22-stop Lollapalooza transit idea was going to be paid with an incremental tax? He was touting this idea of an incremental tax. Explain that, and where'd that go?
Yeah, so that's tax incremental funding. And what you do there is basically you borrow against the taxes you're going to raise tomorrow when new people move in as a result of something you build, right? The problem is, when those new people move in, they need public services too. They need to be able to dial 911. They need to be able to take a bus. Maybe their kids need daycare. They still need the public services. So tax increment financing, it's like a loan. It doesn't pay for your house, but it lets you move in while you pay off the mortgage. So what's always missing with the increment financing scheme was where's the money to pay off the mortgage come from? And that's why we're going to have to look at something, I think, like a sales tax or some other measure.
All right, because I'm tight on time, so we're saying the mayor's proposal there wouldn't wash, but a municipal income tax, a municipal sales tax, I mean, what do you see as the percentage, or what is the rate? And first of all, what would a municipal income tax be?
So we're actually the only city of 3 million people that we can find anywhere in North America or Europe that doesn't have either an income tax or a sales tax. So you could, just the way when you're doing your income tax right now, there's a form, do you live in Ontario, here's your surtax. We could do something like that at the local level. Most American cities of any size do that, often to pay for their education system. Sales tax, it's another one that's very, very common. We would say add 1 penny, just filling back half the room that got cut 5-10 years ago.
So if you're deriving your income in Toronto proper, then you'd get dinged with the income tax.
Yep, that's correct.
What would the percentage be? Any idea?
No, it wouldn't be significant, though.
What does that mean?
It wouldn't be it wouldn't be a huge hit. The revenue to us, let me guess here. So let's say we're looking to get 500 million. There are, let's say, 1 million taxpayers in the city of Toronto. You can do the math yourself, right?
Okay, well, it says here 580 to 926 million in estimated.
So that gives you a sense of how much money we need to raise.
Okay, but it is another tax, same as a municipal sales tax.
Yeah, and this is, and John, this is why I'm glad you wanted to have me on. This is a conversation we have to have. Our city manager has put it to us plain as day. You have two choices. You can bring in more money, and the road toll by itself isn't enough, or you can cut something big. It's good that we do the efficiency every year, but that's the small dollars. You guys have a big dollar decision to make now.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me on.
As always, yeah, we'll see where this one goes. Thanks, Gord Perks, Ward 14, Park Delhi Park.